Hi, it's Lucy, and today we're doing my April wrap-up. This is going to be an interesting video because it's like part vlog style, part not. I started to do an April vlog like I promised you all I would do in my April TBR, but I wasn't that good at keeping up with it. So I've decided to just come back in and fill in spots where I don't have any clip. Originally, I planned this to be like a magical readathon vlog. So I didn't talk about the first book that I actually finished in April at all. So I do want to talk about that first. And that book is The God of Good Looks by Brienne McIver. This follows Bianca Bridge, who after being a part of a very notable scandal where it was discovered that she was having an affair with a married government official, she ends up taking a job working for Obadiah Courtland, a well-known tyrannical entrepreneur and makeup artist, and Bianca starts working for the magazine for his makeup studio, basically. We follow both of these characters as Bianca kind of comes to terms with what her life is like now. This takes place in Trinidad and Tobago. The island is really small. Everyone knows about the scandal that she was caught up in, and she's facing consequences that the man, even though he was the one who was married, did not. And so she's dealing with that, and also dealing with some grief from her mother who passed away, and also dealing with like a very estranged relationship with her father, and like all of that is wrapped up in this. And Obadiah is kind of showing like another side of the island, I guess, where he didn't grow up as wealthy as Bianca and kind of came up from nothing. I told you something that I wish I would have known before I got started. I didn't quite read the synopsis as well as I should have. Also, this is going to be a shorter review because this book will be featured in another video, hopefully soon, where I'll go into even more detail, I think. But basically, I gave this 3.5 stars because I did not like that second perspective of Obadiah Courtland. I didn't realize it was going to be in here, so that was really disappointing to me. I really liked Bianca's perspective. Her half of the story is told in like journal entries, and I felt like she had a really funny voice. I really related to her and just like enjoyed reading her perspective, and I just didn't feel the same way about Obadiah, and there's some like other aspects to their story together that I really didn't like the way the story went. The 3.5 stars was basically solely for Bianca's perspective and Bianca's story because I did find that to be really interesting. I just felt like Obadiah's story took away from Bianca's story, and I also didn't like the ending. There's like a romantic like twist, or not twist, but like a romantic element that kind of gets brought in, and I didn't really see it coming. I don't think the characters really had much chemistry to bring that in, and I did feel like that directly went against Bianca's self-discovery that she goes through in the story. Minus that and minus Obadiah's chapters, like I said, I really liked Bianca as a character and how she was written, and if this story had only been about her, then this would probably be close to 5 stars. Hi, it's me. Outside in nature. Yeah, I'm here to tell you what I've been reading. I'm outside in beautiful nature. Sorry if you can hear other people outside because they also like nature, apparently. Crazy. The book that I'm currently reading for the Magical Readathon is City of Girls. I talked about this in my TBR. This is fulfilling the challenge of reading a book that was written by an author who blurbed your last 5-star review, and I am 13% through this book. This is a pretty long one. I'm listening to the audiobook. I also have a physical copy. City of Girls follows an elderly woman who is now 89 years old. Her name is Vivian Morris, and she is retelling her life story starting from when she was 18 or 19. She had just dropped out of college and moved in with her aunt, who owns a small theater, and the cast of characters that she meets while living there. And the entire story is framed as a kind of letter she's sending to somebody who had previously written to Vivian to tell her that her mother had passed away, and now that her mother had passed away, she wants to know who Vivian was to her father. So we have that kind of mystery element going on. It hasn't really shown any of that yet. Like, we're just seeing what Vivian was like back then, basically. She describes herself as spoiled. She like spends time telling us about how she was rich and didn't realize she was rich. She like mentions like having a maid, and she was like, oh, I'm telling you about all these other people that I met, but I can't really tell you about the maid because I barely saw her because I didn't realize like it wasn't normal to have a maid, basically. So it definitely has like that framing of this elderly woman realizing like kind of the privilege she had when she was younger, and just like she calls herself frivolous a lot. I can't help but compare it to Evelyn Hugo just because it is like an elderly woman who is retelling her past glamorous life. And to compare, Evelyn is definitely more non-apologetic, I guess, and Vivian is like very apologetic so far, but she also hasn't done anything like truly horrible. Like I said, she dropped out of college because she failed out of college. It said, I forgot what rank she was, but she was like ranked second to last, and the last person had polio. So that's why she calls herself frivolous. And so yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. I'm excited to see like where it goes, the cast of characters we meet, like all these people who work at the Playhouse. They all have like individual stories that it seems like we're gonna get to know. Yeah, I'm enjoying it so far, and that's my update for the Magical Readathon. Currently 13% through one book. Oh, I should tell you the date. It is, what day is it? It's the 6th. So yeah, haven't updated for a week, but that's the only Magical Readathon update I have. I'm here to tell you about City of Girls by Elizabeth Gilbert. I finished it since the last clip. Obviously, I am giving this overall 3.5 stars. I enjoyed the process of reading it. I thought the writing was fine. My main issue, I guess, I couldn't get past the framing of the whole story. Like I told you guys, this whole story started off by a letter that Vivian receives, asking Vivian basically what she was to the letter writer's father. It's implied that the letter writer couldn't really ask until her mother died, because the catalyst for sending that letter was that the letter writer's mother died. So that feels like a big mystery, and the ultimate kind of reveal I felt like was a little bit of a letdown. And also the fact that this whole story is framed as a letter back to that person was very odd. Every time I thought about it, it felt weird, because this is like mostly about this woman's sex life. I thought it would be, I don't know what I would thought. Like obviously a young adult woman, like she's like in this era of her life, especially around the people she's around. Like it's fine that we talked about her sex life, but it was like mostly a catalog of her sex life and like all the acts she did also. There's some other stuff. The title of the story is kind of like, I don't know, it didn't really do it for me. City of Girls doesn't really have anything to do with like the reason she's writing the story, I guess. Like it kind of does, but it feels like a stretch. And City of Girls turns out to be a play that her aunt puts on at the playhouse she runs. And I don't want to spoil it for you, but like it does take a big part of the story, and it is like a turning point for Vivian, our main character's life. I don't know. I didn't feel the importance, I guess, but it was a fun read. Like if this was marketed as like just this old lady's memoir, I would have liked it more, but just because it had that extra mystery element, I ended up bumping down the rating because I didn't feel satisfied by that. But yeah, if you want to read about like a sexually free older woman in the late 1930s to 40 to end of the 40s, really, it goes through World War II. And that's also part of the story. This will be going back to the little free library. Like I liked it enough, but not enough to like really keep this copy. I'm fine. Someone else can read it. It will be fine. This doesn't really make me want to read any more of Elizabeth Gilbert's books. I mean, she's like a pretty famous author because she wrote Eat, Pray, Love. Yeah, and I also think that is like different. I don't know. I actually don't know what Eat, Pray, Love is about. Is that a memoir? I don't know. So that's that. Hi. Okay, so I am updating you all once again outside on where I am at in Middlegame. I started that a couple days ago. I'm now like 38%, almost 40% through the book. And I don't really know how I'm feeling about it. I'm going back and forth between the audiobook and the ebook. I don't really like the audiobook, but it is helping me get through it quicker, so I'm there. I just don't like the choices the narrator is making for the voices. We're following two main characters, and then there's some other characters who we really don't know. We still don't know that much about, which is kind of frustrating for me. I thought I would like this a lot more. I know a lot of people say it's confusing. I'm not necessarily confused. There's just like stuff we don't know. That's not really confusing to me, but yeah, I just want to know more, and I figured I would know more by this point in the book. And also it's got like a repetitive bent to it. I don't want to give any spoilers, but so far like kind of the same thing has happened 3 times where our main characters are kind of quote unquote reunited and then separated for whatever reason. And it's just getting really repetitive. I just want to get to where we're going, finally. There is like a mystery element, which is like keeping me like reading. Otherwise, I probably would have DNF'd, because the book starts off with basically the end of the book. And so that keeps the intrigue going. And sometimes, occasionally, there are chapters where it's kind of like a flash forward, I guess, because it is the end of the book. So that definitely keeps me wanting to keep reading. But the rest of the story, I'm like getting tired. So yeah, that's my update so far. We'll see where I go. I'm here to tell you that I have chosen to DNF Middlegame. You can probably tell by the previous clips. Was not enjoying it at all. I mean, it didn't ruin my New York trip, but it didn't make it better. I am counting it as completed for the Magical Readathon Challenge, The Art of Illusion, and the challenge was to read the word game or play in the title. I am counting it as completed because I am literally DNFing it at 68%, and that is the size of a normal book, okay? I really gave this book a long shot. Not a long shot, but like I spent a lot of time trying to not DNF it, okay? But at the end of the day, I just realized I was miserable reading this. There's no point in me continuing, and I kept trying to get to the end because I did find the premise intriguing and interesting, but that is the only thing I found intriguing and interesting. I was so bored the entire time I was reading this, except for maybe the first like 4 chapters. I was just bored and I kept waiting for it to pick up, like surely this will be the time. And then we just got a bunch of repetitive stuff. And I know it was supposed to be like part of the storytelling, like part of the journey, but I just didn't care. I didn't care about these characters. I was waiting to get to the end to find out like some parts of the mystery. But at this point, I feel like I know most of it now that I got to 68%, but also don't know enough as much as I feel I should know by 68%. I have an inkling of where the story is going to end, and I guess spoilers, even though I don't know. I'm still holding like one strand of thought that I might finish this, which is why I haven't just completely spoiled myself yet. But I'm just kind of thinking like it's just going to end how it began. I'm talking in riddles like the book. Like I'm not actually going to get an answer or the answer that I want. I don't feel that that's going to happen. And even if it does, I just can't put myself through this anymore. Like I spent like 20 minutes of a dinner I had with my friend just complaining about this book. And I'm like, I should not be living like this. I don't even read that much anymore. Like why am I torturing myself? So all that to say, DNFing Middlegame, I am sad about it because so many people love it. And I wish I did. I just don't. I did start Vicious. Yeah, I'm not that far. I'm not even looking. I started it on audiobook because I forgot that I had this on my TBR. So I was still in New York and didn't bring this. So luckily my library had it on Hoopla. So I started listening. It is technically the 29th of April. Will I finish this by the end of the month? I don't know. We shall see. I will put in my best effort. This audiobook is much shorter than Middlegame. So I could maybe do it. I'm only 4% through the book, so really no opinions. Like I think I just finished the first chapter, or like maybe starting the second chapter. We're just barely introduced to one of the characters, so not much to say about it yet. I do have the bingo board, nothing to fill in the bingo board yet. We'll come back and update if stuff happens. Here to tell you that I finished Vicious, here to tell you what I thought of it. Is it currently May? Maybe. But I did start this in April, so it still counts, and I just wanted to like wrap up every book that I started in this vlog. I think I'm gonna give this 3.5 stars, maybe 3.5 stars, because I am willing to read Vengeful, the sequel to this, but unsure. Maybe this month I'm just a hater. I think all the books in this vlog I got 3.5 stars. Yeah, I just wasn't super feeling this. I had some issues with the motivations of the main characters. Did I tell you what this was about? So this follows 2 college students. Everyone who goes through their college is very, very smart, like well known. I think they're both med students, don't remember exactly. And they're roommates, they're like basically best friends. They spend a lot of time together, live together, etc. And their names are Victor and Eli. So Eli decides to make his like senior thesis extraordinaries, or EOs. And these are people who are kind of like maybe Bigfoot. It's not really well accepted that they exist, but they're people who basically have superpowers. And pretty early on in the book, he figures out that there might be some kind of connection between like a near-death experience and someone becoming an EO. And the book flips back and forth between today, which is like 10 years in the future from that point, and the past when they were still in college, and then it kind of moves forward to like other events basically. But that's the gist of it. And in the future, they hate each other, they're against each other, and Victor was in jail and is now hunting Eli. And that's the main synopsis. So the beginning of the book I'm reading, trying to figure out what made them hate each other. You kind of quickly figure that out. Also, the beginning of the book reads really slow because maybe this is a spoiler, because now that I'm looking at the back of the book, I don't see it. So if you don't want to know anything about this book, which maybe might be for the best, maybe just skip ahead. But they do become EOs, and I knew that before going into the book. So the beginning of the book, before that happened, I'm just kind of waiting. You kind of already know anyway, because I think either the first or second chapter is like the future, and you know that Victor has a power, basically. So you know at least he becomes an EO. So while I was reading the beginning, I'm just waiting for that to happen, and it felt kind of slow. And then the way they act after events happen felt really, it didn't even feel out of character. It just felt unbelievable to me, because there was not really a character established, if that makes sense. It just was hard for me to picture a person acting the way they did. Part of the book is that like empathy kind of goes away with EOs, or maybe it's supposed to be like kind of anti-heroes, like both characters are kind of in the wrong, but also like not, because I don't want to spoil the ending, but like kind of not, basically. It just ended up being like unbelievable for me. And obviously this is about superheroes, so like there is a suspension of disbelief, but also the actual characterization, I didn't feel like I should have to suspend my disbelief for. Also, this is one of Victoria Schwab's, V.E. Schwab's earlier books. This is under the V.E. Schwab moniker, so I believe that means it's an adult book, and based on the content of the book, I would say that this is an adult book, but there's just some elements in here where it does read YA, and also like she forgot she was writing an adult book. Like it felt more like she made this an adult book so that she could include like the elements of violence, basically, but there's like just like random stuff. Like one thing I can pick out is like they're in college, and for some reason there's bells for every period. I don't know any college or university in the United States that uses bells. That's a high school thing. So it's just like random stuff like that. The journey, like I was interested in like seeing how it ended. There were some characters who weren't the main characters that I was interested in. It kind of turned into maybe like a little X-Men thing where he picks up like other people, and those extra people I felt like were interesting. The like psychological aspects that are meant in here just really fell flat to me. So that's why it doesn't get like a higher rating. But I do enjoy like the idea, the world. I read the synopsis for the second book and I'm not like super interested, but I would like to see some of the other characters. Those are my thoughts on Vicious. Just okay, not my favorite. Oh, I forgot to show the bingo board. This is everything that happened in the bingo board. Technically, I didn't complete the magical readathon because I did finish Vicious outside of the month of April. So there's that. But also my competitor, if you remember from my TBR, also did not finish. We kind of tied, basically. That's the update. Thanks for watching. In the comments down below, leave me a bone emoji because this cover is full of skulls. And if you like this video, YouTube thinks you'll like this one. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.